Some people don't realize they're carrying mental and emotional baggage because they've become very good at functioning. You wake up, you go to work, you take care of responsibilities, you show up for your family, your commitments, your business, and everything that depends on you. From the outside, life looks normal, sometimes even successful. You keep moving forward, telling yourself things will feel easier later, that rest will come later, that peace, enjoyment will arrive once everything is finally under control. And yet, inside, you feel stuck or overwhelmed, heavier than life should feel. Like a quiet weight you carry throughout the day, like you are moving forward, but never fully arriving. You may feel tired in a way sleep does not fix, disconnected even when life looks fine. Moments that should feel good, exciting, still leave you restless or unsatisfied, and you don't fully know why. Many people think this means something is wrong with them, but often it means old mental and emotional patterns, attachments, stories are still running beneath the surface. Patterns your subconscious mind learned a long time ago, ways of coping, protecting, and surviving that once made sense, but are still shaping how you think, react, and experience life today. Emotional baggage does not just affect your feelings. It influences your decisions, relationships, your confidence, and even how safe it feels to slow down or receive more and more from life. When these patterns stay unresolved, life becomes exhausting, not because something is wrong, but because you are constantly managing reactions instead of feeling at ease within yourself. But when that baggage begins to release, shift, something gentle and powerful changes in you. You feel calmer without forcing it. Your decisions become clearer. Relationships feel more natural and less draining. You stop fighting yourself and life and start trusting your own responses again. You begin living from who you are today, not from what you had to learn to survive yesterday. There is alignment, congruency. If you recognize yourself in this, listen to this week's episode number 97 that will guide you to understand why these patterns still repeating and what actually allows real change to happen at the root. This podcast is for the soul who knows there is more, the one who's been carrying it all for far too long. If you're ready to let go of old stories, to stop replaying the past and start living from your truth, you're in the right place. This is your moment to release the noise and reconnect to what's real. Welcome to Baggage Begun, Healing Hearts and Minds. I'm Tami Mahmali. Today we are going to talk about why we repeat patterns and how healing emotional mental baggage changes not only how you feel, but also how you live. Welcome back to Baggage Begun, Healing Hearts and Minds. I'm Tami Mahmali, and I am so grateful that you are here. I'm grateful that you're following me, that you are in this space wanting the shift, the transformation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This podcast did not come from a textbook or certification. It came from my own life experiences, from years of searching, questioning, and trying to understand why, even when everything looked fine on the outside, something inside me still felt unsettled. For many years, my life appeared full and successful. I studied, built creative career, got married, became a mother, and continue working hard to create stability and beauty around me. I was productive, responsible, and always moving forward. From the outside, there was no obvious reason to feel unhappy, but internally, there was a quiet feeling that something was missing. A sense that I was constantly doing life rather than truly living it. A sense that I was constantly doing something in my life to feel okay, rather than truly living it and feeling present. I grew up in a family shaped by immigration and survival. My parents went through enormous change and uncertainty while raising 4 children, and like many families navigating hardship, emotional survival became more important than emotional expression and living in the present moment. Like, no one really sat me down and explained this directly, but children learn through energy more than parents' words. I observed the message that being loved meant being responsible, helpful, and strong. So, creating problems or expressing too many needs didn't feel safe for me. So, I learned to adapt by becoming the good girl, the one who managed herself, achieved, and didn't add pressure to already overwhelmed parents. This is how I lived most of my life. Over time, that adaptation became my identity. Maybe you can relate to that. I became very skilled at holding everything together. I was dependable, capable, and driven. I learned to anticipate what other people needed before they even asked. I will scan the room and I will assume that I know what they need. I worked hard, achieved goals, and pushed myself constantly because somewhere inside I believed my self-worth was connected to how much I could do and how well I could perform. And for a long time this worked. I functioned well, I succeeded, I showed up for everyone, but underneath that functioning, I was exhausted, I didn't fully understand what's going on, I was unhappy, I was overwhelmed, and felt stuck. I remember feeling busy all the time, yet emotionally empty, drained. Sometimes when I was finally alone, constantly proving my self-worth, hoping that this next goal, next success or recognition will finally create a sense of peace inside me. And you know what? I didn't get it. Instead, I often felt burned out, resentful, unhappy, and confused about why life felt so heavy when logically I had so much to be grateful for. And today, after working with so many women and also men, I see how common this pattern is. I'm not alone. Many high-functioning, caring, intelligent women are carrying invisible emotional baggage, weight. They look strong and successful on the outside, but internally they are tired from years of overgiving, overachieving, overworking, and trying to earn a sense of self-worth that was never meant to be earned in the first place. I was constantly doing, achieving, pleasing, and pushing myself, and believing that my self-worth will come from effort. And this is gonna bring peace, but I never felt peaceful. Eventually, I realized something important. This heaviness wasn't coming from my life today. This was a baggage I was carrying mentally and emotionally. All these beliefs, expectations, and survival patterns that no longer belonged to the person that I had become. And that realization became the beginning of Baggage Begun. A path not about fixing people, but about empowering, guiding them to release all this mental and emotional baggage that kept them stuck and never was there to carry forever. Now I'm going to tell you about the turning point. I want to share with you a moment in my life that changed me completely. I remember when my daughters were still young, and like many mothers, my days felt full from the moment I woke up until late at night. I was constantly taking care of everyone. That's what I thought, and everything. The house, the children, work, responsibility, always moving, always doing something. One afternoon when I was standing and washing dishes, I decided that I'm done. That's it. I'm drained. I can't continue. I remember feeling so lonely even though my family was around me. Thinking, why does everything feel so heavy when my life is supposed to feel good? Then I stopped. There was a quiet moment that I heard my inner voice saying, stop. It was my inner voice telling me that I'm ready to embark into a new chapter. And suddenly I realized something that really shocked me. I wasn't washing dishes because the dishes mattered. I was washing dishes because I didn't know who I was if I wasn't constantly doing something for others. And this realization wasn't just about the dishes. It's about the programming. I learned that my value came from doing, not from being. And at that moment, I started taking care of myself. I hugged myself and cried, not because something was wrong, because suddenly I understood how long I have been living disconnected from my own needs. And that small act, stopping instead of overdoing myself, became the beginning of healing. Because healing often does not begin with a big breakthrough or a perfect plan. It begins the moment you stop abandoning yourself and start paying attention to what your inner world has been trying to tell you for a long time. So, what emotional baggage really is? Emotional and mental baggage is not just memories. It is all the emotional energy that never finished processing itself and it's still living in your subconscious mind, which is the bank of memory. Research in trauma psychology shows that experiences that are stored not only as thought but as nervous system responses, which are basically our trauma, our subconscious mind remembers what the mind tries to move past it. So here, your brain learned emotional rules early in life that might look like love must be earned. That's why you are people pleasing others to find love. Or rest is unsafe, so you have to overdo all the time like I did. Conflicts means rejection, so you're afraid to stand up for yourself and speak up today. Being needed equals being valued. And that's why you think that your self-worth, it's only if you achieve things like I did. And once those rules are learned, the subconscious mind repeats the pattern automatically because that's the only way you will feel safe unless you recognize it and you reprogram this from the root. That's why someone can be really beautiful, successful, and intellectually know they deserve better life. Yet emotionally, they choose things that are not good for them and they sabotage, procrastinate because whatever it's no longer serving them still feel familiar and safe. Our subconscious mind chooses things that feel familiar and safe over our happiness today because familiarity feels like it is safe. So we will repeat the same patterns until we recognize and we reprogram that. I see these patterns every single day in the people I work with. And many of them are so common that you may recognize yourself in one of them right now. And believe it or not, I did almost all of this stuff. For example, I often work with women who are incredibly giving in relationships. They're beautiful, successful, they're kind, loyal, supportive, and always available for others. They listen, they help, they adjust themselves to keep the peace, and they give more and more, hoping to feel loved and appreciated. But over time, something really uncomfortable happens. They begin to feel invisible. People take them for granted. They feel unappreciated, emotionally drained, and quietly resentful. And they ask, why do I always end up in relationship where I give my everything and still feel alone? Because people don't notice me, they don't acknowledge me, they don't call, they don't respond back. From the outside, it may look like they simply choose the wrong partner. But underneath the programming, the subconscious mind learned that love meant earning approval through overgiving, overdoing. So even when they constantly want balance and other people to see them and give them, their old programming keeps them stuck because they're recreating the same dynamic with different people, same behavior. That's why if you're single or you cannot find someone that you really want, it's because you're operating from the old baggage, the old programming, and therefore you're meeting the same people. I also see people who finally reach the success level they worked so hard for, the career, the financial stability, the recognition, and instead of feeling peace, they suddenly feel anxiety or restlessness. And that's how I lived most of my life. They cannot relax. They start overworking, overdoing again and again, or creating new pressure for themselves. And sometimes they might even sabotage opportunities without understanding why. What's happening is not a lack of knowledge or understanding. So from the outside, this situation can look like self-sabotage, right? But internally, something very different is happening. The subconscious mind is repeating patterns that are protective patterns that were learned a long time ago. Patterns that once helped you adapt, belong, or feel safe emotionally. So you're not repeating these cycles because something is wrong with you, or you're stupid, or you don't know. Those patterns became your blueprint. You're repeating unfinished emotional protection. That all survivor strategies will running automatically, even though your life has already outgrown them. And in order to shift, you want to use hypnosis and energy work to let this old programming go from the root, so it's substantial and you're not repeating them. Why understanding is not enough? Many people understand their story very well. They have already asked about it, analyzed it, went to therapy, processed it for years, just like I did. They have gone to therapy, read all the books, gained the awareness, and yet the same patterns and attachment often continue repeating. I've seen this over and over, and it doesn't matter whether someone is a life coach, a therapist, a lawyer, a dentist, or stay-at-home mom. Insight alone does not always create change, and it might be a temporary change like you feel after you go to therapy, because the pattern does not live only in a conscious level. It's not on the surface, it's deep in the roots. It lives in the subconscious mind, the part of you that has been running automatic programs formed a long time ago, and we talked about that. It's early conditioning from family patterns, from your surrounding. Those are stored beliefs. Some of these imprints can begin early childhood or in the womb, or even energetically through generation influences or lifetimes ago. Neuroscience refers to these implicit memories, emotional learning that's stored beneath conscious awareness, and that's the conscious mind. So let's say you consciously decide, tomorrow I'm going to the gym. I'm finally going to change. I'm going to lose the weight. But let's say morning comes and the alarm rings and something else takes over. You know, this sudden voice. Suddenly you hear all these excuses, you know. You remember your mom criticized your body, that you're fat. Your friends bullied you, that you're going to stay like this forever. You remember past failure or believe that nothing ever worked before. You did all this diet, keto, starvation. You took the whatever it is. And without realizing it, your subconscious mind activates an old program that says, change is unsafe for me, or this will not work for me anyways, I already tried. And then your body pulls you back toward what feels familiar. Not going to gym. Even if familiar means staying stuck, overwhelmed, overweight, or unhappy. You know, logically, that something needs to change, yet you don't understand why you cannot take the action. Taking the action feels so difficult because your subconscious mind rules our life. This is why willpower alone really works when you have deep emotional baggage that is stored in your subconscious mind. Whatever information in your subconscious mind, these are the actions that you are going to take. So healing happens when the emotional imprint itself changes from the root, not just the thought about it. And these deeper shifts become possible through hypnosis and subconscious healing work from the root, and I'm going to explain next. So how healing works. The process, the method of baggage began that changed my life. In my work, I call this stored emotional mental baggage. Through hypnosis and subconscious healing, we gently and effortlessly and easily guide the mind into the alpha state, a relaxed brainwave state, similar to meditation or deep creative focus, where the conscious mind quiets and the subconscious mind becomes more accessible. You're awake, you're not asleep, In this state, your body and the nervous system begin to soften and feel safe enough to access the root of the emotional, mental memories that have been shaping patterns, attachments beneath your awareness. Clients often start recognizing the moments where certain beliefs first formed. It might be when you were 2 years old, 5 years old, your childhood. All these experiences, family dynamics, or emotional imprints that have been carried for many years without you being able to fully process it. When these moments are revisited and you feel safe, you have this awareness, compassion, and then the subconscious mind begins to update its old programming because we're doing it in a safe place. You tapping into the root cause of the problem, you're processing it, you see images, words, colors, and we can see the old story. And then the nervous system no longer needs to hold on to the same protective responses because now you have the learning, the lessons, the experience is finally understood and completed, and you can let go and something real begins to shift. And that's priceless. That process changed my life and so many lives of others. And you start feeling free to be yourself again, not by forcing anything. It's still you, but by releasing what was blocking you to see your gifts, your contribution to the world. Your energy begins to flow more naturally through your body. You feel lighter, believe it or not. I lost 7 pounds in a week when I did that. Your emotional state becomes lighter and more stable, and you feel confident. Many people describe feeling more like alignment, more peaceful, and more connected to their natural gifts, as if they are remembering who they were created to be, instead of constantly protecting themselves from the past and needing just to be in survival mode. Change stops feeling like an effort. Everything becomes like effortless and easy. People naturally begin choosing differently, feeling differently, living differently, because the old subconscious patterns, programming are no longer running the show. And as the baggage clears, life often feels like the beginning of a new chapter, clean and open, like a white canvas where you can finally create your life with awareness, intention, and genuine freedom to be you. How exciting is that? And what's more possible for you? So here is something important I want you to really understand. Most of us are not struggling because we don't know what we want. We struggle because a deeper part of our subconscious mind is still running the show, carrying an old story, a story that says we are not safe, we are not deserving or allowed to receive more than what we currently have. Your conscious mind may want change, growth, peace, or love, but if your subconscious programming was shaped by early experiences, it may still believe those things come with risk and it's not possible for you. Let's say if your sense of self-worth connected to achievement or pleasing others, like we talked about, then no amount of external validation will fully land inside you because you will always feel like you're not good enough. You may walk through life feeling not enough, regardless of your success, your relationships, or any of your circumstances, because the original belief was never cleared as its roots. This is not weakness, this is just conditioning. Your subconscious mind learned how to protect you based on past experiences, and those patterns become stored not only as thought, they are automatically running the show right now. This is why healing is not about forcing positive thinking, repeating affirmation, or trying to manifest a different life from the surface level. Those tools alone don't create a lasting change. That's why you want something that's substantial. You want something that's gonna last, like when we do it in the subconscious mind healing. And I invite you to stop caring what helped you survive and start living life. So you begin to feel freer in your mind, your body, and your heart. And that freedom is priceless. And when that shift happens, change stops feeling like effort. It's effortless, it's easy. Now, if something in today's conversation felt familiar to you, if at any moment you found yourself quietly thinking, this sounds like me, I want you to pause for a moment and really hear this. Nothing about your struggle is random, and nothing about it means that something is wrong with you. Your patterns, your reactions, even the ways you sometimes hold yourself back were not created because you are weak or incapable. This mental and emotional baggage were created because at some point in your life, your mind and body learned how to protect you in the best way they knew how, which is your system learned to survive, and you no longer need that. It learned how to keep you safe automatically, how to adapt, how to belong, and how to keep moving forward, even when life felt overwhelming. And for that, there is nothing to judge, only to understand and feel compassion and know that there is another way that is living with your gifts, sharing your contribution. And the shift healing begins when your inner world slowly learns that safety is no longer has to come from doing things, pleasing, proving your self-worth. Healing begins when your body realizes that it's okay to live with your gifts and contribution. And if you want to learn more, I would love to hear from you. You can contact me. I have 30 minutes complimentary call, and you can learn more about the method of Baggage Began Healing Hearts and Mind. I have walked this path myself. I went through the process. I already did that. I know what it feels like to look like everything is fine on the outside while feeling disconnected and exhausted inside. And today, through the work I do, I witness this transformation every day. People who before felt stuck, beginning to feel lighter, clearer, and more confident at home, in their body, within themselves, with others. I see women who spend years doubting themselves. They start trusting their own intuition, their work, their relationship. I see people who lived constantly emotionally in pressure, stuck, finally experiencing calm without feeling the shame and guilt. And I see relationship getting better and better, and that's exciting. And that change doesn't happen because they become someone new. It happens because they finally release the mental and emotional baggage that no longer serving them. And if you feel ready to begin that process, to gently release this mental and emotional baggage and reconnect with the part of you that has always been whole beneath all this conditioning, I call it baggage, you can learn more about working together through the information in the show notes. You can call me, you can DM me, you can contact me through the email. There is no rush and there is no pressure. Healing is a personal journey, and simply becoming aware is already a powerful first step. I'm grateful that you are here. Thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for your openness, your courage, and your willingness to look inward, because every time one person heals, that healing extends far beyond them into their relationships, their friends, their families, and the world around them. And remember, when the baggage begins to fall away, your true self does not need to be created or fixed. You begin to feel naturally aligned with who your soul came here to be. Life starts to feel lighter, effortless, clearer, and more exciting. Not because circumstances suddenly become perfect, but because your conscious and subconscious mind begin working together in alignment instead of pulling opposite directions and being in dichotomy. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who might need this reminder today. Please comment, subscribe, and thank you for being here and staying until the end. Until next time, I'm sending you so much love and light.
If you're curious and want to dive deeper, you are in the right space. I ask you to look within for all the things that you want to do, be, and have. Join me at the Baggage Began Healing Hearts and Minds podcast with new episodes every Wednesday as we discover the path towards healing and transformation.